Hey guys, let's do a little bit of tutoring for our test. By the way, our test has been moved to Wednesday. We had said Monday, but we're going to move it to Wednesday. So that hopefully should help you out a little bit. And if you need help, just come see me on any of this stuff. Alright, follow along your notes as usual. And any questions you have, like jot them down in your notebook so you can ask me tomorrow. So here is what our test, the main topics on our test. The main topics on our test here are mitosis and meiosis, sexual, asexual reproduction, human reproductive system, and a little bit of development, kind of from the movie we've seen. Okay, so let's, oops, what happened? All right, I'm using a different program because I forgot my, my pad, my writing pad at school. So, really quick, we talked about reproduction. We also talked about what the importance of reproduction is. And we said reproduction is important because it determines the reproductive success of a species. And we said you were successful if your population either is maintained, stays the same, or grows. Okay, so as your population stays the same or grows, you are reproductively successful. And we said that we also discussed what a species was. So the whole point, and it's basically the central important thing in biology, is that all species want to continue their population. And a species was any group of organisms that can sort of reproduce and give birth to fertile offspring. Okay, so a group of organisms that can mate and make fertile offspring. So if you mix two different organisms that are not the same species, they might give you offspring, like we said, a mule or something, but they wouldn't be fertile. Now we said the two ways that organisms in the world choose to reproduce are asexual and sexual. So let's talk about those. And let's see if I can move to the next. Okay. Some examples of asexual, we said binary fission. This was where bacteria, or prokaryotes, that's their name, basically double their DNA and split. We said budding is when you grow a baby out of you. Fragmentation was what starfish did, and that's basically where a part of the starfish can actually grow a whole new organism, which is pretty cool. Sponges do it as well. And the lizard on the bottom, what that means is, regeneration is mitosis as well, but it's not reproduction, okay? Vegetative propagation. This is when vegetables where plants like strawberries can actually reproduce asexually. If you look over on the left there, that strawberry plant or that plant is growing roots under the ground, and they grow new plants that are identical to the parent. And we said there were some advantages to asexual reproduction and some disadvantages. Let me zoom in a little bit here. The advantages were awesome. If you were all by yourself, you can continue your population, which is great. And you can reproduce quickly, like bacteria reproduce every 20 minutes, which is fantastic. There's a problem, though. There's no genetic variability. So what happens is that whatever kills one of you will kill all of you. So if there's a disease of some kind, forget it, you're dead. Next. Okay, so this was from our notebook. You might have something like this in your notebook, but we basically compared the differences between asexual and sexual. And basically what we want to say here, in asexual it's just one parent, usually dividing, making a clone by mitosis. Here's mitosis. And you get two identical, okay? So that would look, if we were talking haploid and diploid, which is coming up soon, that would look like this. 2n gives you 2n and 2n. What? Remember, n was the haploid number of chromosomes. That's the half number. So our n in humans would be 23 chromosomes. So that means 2n would be 46, gives you 46 and 46. Cool? So this is a diploid. One diploid cell makes two diploid cells that are equal to the parent. Now sexual is two parents with haploid cells, half the number of chromosomes, and we say that's sperm, haploid, also N. And an egg or ovum is 23 chromosomes, and that's N. Now don't be fooled on the test. 23 is only for humans. So if we talk about the haploid number of another species, just know that it's half of whatever the diploid is. Okay, so if I say, hey, some organism's got 8 chromosomes in its body, in its wing cell, what's the haploid number? What would be in the sperm? It's 4. It's half. And what's great about sexual reproduction is it's a combination of genes, and so basically sexual reproduction meiosis forms the gametes, and the gametes are sperm and egg, and with fertilization, that's when the gametes combine, that's sperm plus egg fertilization, you get an offspring that's genetically variable. And so that offspring was different than mommy and daddy. And isn't that nice when you're different than mommy and daddy? All right, cool. So moving to the next slide. Bam! Oh, here's what we just said. This is from our notes, so you should have something like this, 2n, 2n, 2n. And another difference, we didn't say another difference, but here another difference is mitosis gives you 2 cells. In meiosis, you get 4 cells. Okay? You get 4 resulting cells most of the time. We'll talk about the exception in a second. So, let's talk about mitosis first. The key concepts. The first thing you got to know is know the phases, know their names, and be able to pick out a diagram, which we also had in our last quiz. Know the ultimate result or outcome, like what's the final point of mitosis. We basically mean that you're making a clone of yourself, or you're copying your cell over again. Examples of mitosis occurring, that's what we just did, budding, vegetative propagation, fragmentation, yada yada. And good and bad, we said that already. What's advantage and disadvantage, and know how it differs from meiosis, which we also just did. Okay? So, really quick with mitosis. Did I do that right? Yes, yes. Okay, so mitosis. Hold on, let me figure out how to use this thing. Okay, purple? Let's use purple. There's one missing here. All right, so mitosis, before mitosis, we have interphase. This is the non-dividing phase when the cell is chilling and totally looks like it has a bunch of DNA junk in there called chromatin. And so the cell is just working, yada, yada, yada. We said this is 90% of its life. 10% of its life is mitosis. And there were key events that are in your notes that go to each of these, okay? So in your notes, look at prophase, and you'll see your picture that we drew. And prophase, the main thing was, the main events that occur during prophase is the nucleus starts to, what did I do? I did something. The nucleus, the nuclear membrane is like, you have it drawn as like a dotted line because it's dissolving. And you also have the chromosomes that are starting to condense or form. And so your picture should show like a chromosome forming. And then you have these little tiny dudes making spindle fiber. These are centrioles. Let me draw this circle. So in your notebook, you'll have like these little centrioles and these wires. And these wires are your spindle fiber, which is where the chromosomes are actually going to hook up and divide on. Metaphase, remember middle, so you'll have some kind of, just like this, you'll have the chromosomes lining up on the equatorial plane, like the equator. Anaphase, the little hot dogs are separating from each other. The chromosomes, these are the sister chromatids. The sister chromatids are like, yo, see ya, and they're dividing. I'm sorry, I don't know why I circled them. Ignore, ignore. It should just look like this, just going on the wire. Okay. Cool. And in your notes, you should have telophase, which is sort of like this peanut that I just drew. But basically, it's the cell is starting to pinch here, like that. Okay. There was something we covered called cytokinesis, the division of the cytoplasm. Don't worry about that. We don't care about that. But telophase is 2 cells start to form. Groovy. Okay, let's move to the next. The next slide is meiosis. All right, here are the key concepts that you need to know for meiosis. The first thing you need to know is the difference between the first round of meiosis called meiosis 1 and then meiosis 2. Know what the chromosomes are doing in each of the stages, like are they lining up, are the homologous chromosome pairs dividing, are the sister chromatids dividing, are you making 2 cells, are you making 4 cells? So we'll go over that real quick. What's the end result of meiosis? Basically, we said you want to make 4. The end result is you want to make 4 cells that are genetically variable. They're different than the original one. Know the difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis, which we'll cover, and where does it occur, which we'll cover as well. So let us begin. Okay. Nice. This was a do now we did. We gave you pictures and you had to sort of figure out what was the order of events. And we said that number 1 was like this one right here, number 1. Oops, I'm writing with the... actually, let me do it over here on my desktop. This was number 1. And then them lining up as... if you notice in this picture right here, in picture number 3, this one, the homologous pairs are sort of lined up. That means the mom chromosome and the dad chromosome are next to each other. And what they're doing is they're actually crossing over their genetic material. We said that the homologous chromosome pair could, like, exchange material, which is crazy. It actually gives you more variety. And here they're exchanging material. And then we have to look for the next step, which is, hey, the nucleus is gone. That's this one, number 2. The nucleus is gone, and the mom and dad chromosomes are lined up in the middle. Okay? Now we need something where the mom chromosome goes one way and the dad goes another way. So that would happen here. That would be this one. So that's 3. Sorry for these junky numbers. I'm writing on... I forgot my pad, so I'm writing on... I'm using the iPad and the laptop right now, both of them, so it's a little crazy. 4. Everything's split up. This is the end of meiosis 1, totally done. And now meiosis 2 is these guys line up, which is here. This is 5. And then 6, we need... oh, I missed a step. That's here. Sorry. So that means that... this is the mom and dad chromosome. There's a picture here that shows them after they divide and go away, they start to split here. This picture right here, they start to split. So this actually should be 4. And this one should be 5 because it shows them already split. Yada, yada, yada. And then the next round is 6 because the chromosomes line up in the middle. Sister chromatids divide. That's number 7. And then 8 is telophase 2, where you make 4 cells. Okay, so that is our meiosis problem that we did. So then in your notebook here, you have a picture, like a quick sketch of meiosis, and I'll try to just really quickly show you what you really need to know. So there's like a bunch of steps that happen in here. This is meiosis 1. But the main result is, what you need to understand is that the main thing is the homologous pairs divide. And so you'll just have like 1 there and 1 there total, and 1 little one and 1 little one. Okay? That's the whole point of meiosis 1. And then the point of meiosis 2 is that these 2 humongo cells, these 2 chromatids divide. And so 1 will go there, 1 will go there, and then these 2 divide here. So 1 will go there, 1 will go there. And now we halved the chromosome number. We made it 1n. Okay, so then the same thing here. Sister chromatids divide. Groovy, and this is the end result of meiosis 2. Woohoo! Okay, let me push that button. And next. Okay, one key thing that people got confused on the vocab test was the 3 anaphase definitions. So if it's just, if it's just anaphase, like if we're just saying anaphase, that means it's mitosis. Okay, so if you just see anaphase by itself, that's mitosis. And what that means is this in mitosis, that's where the sister chromatids are moving apart. Okay, so number one, anaphase by itself is mitosis. Number two, if oh sorry, that's here. That's the same thing. This is this. If I say anaphase 1, that's meiosis, and that means like we just said before, the homologous chromosomes divide. But if we say anaphase 2 is the same as just anaphase in mitosis. Anaphase 2 is meiosis, where the sister chromatids divide. Do you get that? Cool. All right then, moving on. We said spermatogenesis and oogenesis are types of gametogenesis. Those are new definitions you need to know. Main difference in spermatogenesis is the males make 4. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Males make 4 chromosomes, and the females make 4 chromosomes. Sorry, they make 4 cells, and females just make 1 cell instead of the 4. The other 3 things do not matter. Next. We said that some mistakes occur in, let me use this pen, errors in meiosis. And one of the main errors in meiosis is called non-disjunction. Non-disjunction. And basically that just means, the mistake is, there's 2 kinds of non-disjunctions you can have. You can, like if here are the homologous chromosomes, right? What's supposed to happen is one of them's supposed to go one way and one's supposed to go the other way. But instead, if both of them go the same way, then the egg or the ovum will have an extra chromosome. So that stinks. And then the if they both go another way to something, well, I don't want to confuse you, but basically it just means that there's a mistake here where they both go, the homologous chromosomes both go the same way. Or the other thing that can happen is they divide fine, the homologous pair, they totally divide fine, so everything's going well. But when these are going to make a brand new cell, these 2, that's the mistake right there. You're supposed to get this, you're supposed to just get 1 in each. So this is a mistake. You either have 1 less chromosome or 1 more chromosome. Okay? So we said problems that you get is trisomy 21. And that means, I'll zoom in so you can see. Hold on, let me zoom in real quick. Zoomy, zoom, zoom, zoomy, zoom, zoom. So you can see here, this child has 3 chromosomes. Right here. Let's see if I can do this on this. 3 chromosomes right here. And that is Down syndrome. Okay? And then the other problems you can have are if you have extra or if you're lacking a sex chromosome or you have an extra one. So if you have an extra sex chromosome, like this one right here, this mistake, this person has an XXY, that's called Klinefelter syndrome. If you just have XO, that's called Turner syndrome. So those are the 2 that we discussed. Okay? Yada, yada, yada. Let's see, next. Cool. We already did that. All right, male. What do you need to know about the male? So for the male reproductive system, you need to know the parts, their names and functions. So really quick, if you don't have the little sheet that we have, I'm going to just say them. You can sort of look them up what they are, but just to save time in this video, I'm just going to say them really quick. So A is the testes, B is the scrotum, C is the epididymis. We'll say that this D is penis, E is the urethra, and let's see what else we could do. This is rectum. Oh, I was going to spell rectum. F is rectum. G, anus. There's like a little thing right here. That's called the seminal vesicle. G-H, seminal vesicle. Prostate, I. Prostate is this, boy, I wish I could have made it bigger. I'm going to make it bigger here. Here we go. Let's make it bigger, because that makes no sense to you. Alright, now it's a little too big. Okay, so I'll start over. We said A, B, C, epididymis. I think I called this D, penis. E, urethra. I think I made rectum be next. F, rectum. Yeah, because it was G, anus. G, H, seminal vesicle. Whoop. I is this right here is the prostate. That round dude there, not the tube that it's pointing to. J is the bladder. The bladder is here. That holds urine. And I forgot that tube, pretty important. JK, this is the vas deferens. Okay. So what do we need to know? Oh, there's one more that's not on this picture. The bulbourethral gland. Basically, there's a little extra gland. The only thing you need to know about that gland is we said it was the pre-ejaculation gland. It kind of cleans out this whole tube. And it's one of the reasons people get pregnant when they're not trying to, when they're not being safe. So that was sort of our life lesson thing right there. So, what do you need to know? So those are the parts, and the functions are, for A, the testes, they hold, they create, it's where the sperm is created and where testosterone is made, the male sex hormone. B is the scrotum, and we already know that controls temperature. C, the epididymis, that one stores sperm. That's where sperm, after it's made, is... Now, remember, sperm is the cell. This is a sperm. And semen is the liquid that these guys are swimming in. Like that. Okay? So semen is actually made by the other glands. So semen is made by H, the seminal vesicle, I, the bulbourethral gland. These guys all help out to make semen. So the prostate, we said that it makes an alkaline solution. Alkaline. And that means this is a chemistry word, but it can combat an acid. So this alkaline solution actually makes the sperm safe because we said the female environment, the female vagina, is very acidic. It's a high acid. And remember, when you're problem solving, that might be a question I ask. Like, why are the sperm dying if the prostate is messed up? And it's because they're getting killed by the vagina. Okay, so H right here, seminal vesicle, we said gives the sperm nutrients and glucose and yada yada. And this right here, the rectum, we said this is where a prostate exam would take place, because the prostate, when it increases in size because of enlargement or a tumor, the doctor can actually feel inside there. So that's why we talked about the rectum, which means you have, if the prostate gets very big, you have urinary problems, which is another thing that can happen. What else? Vas deferens, this is where we have a vasectomy. So I might ask you where you cut. You actually cut over here, I'm sorry. This is where the vasectomy is usually performed. But I would probably accept any answer that's up here if you cut anywhere. Just don't cut here, okay? What else? Urethra. Oh, the urethra is different in males than females because it is both reproductive and excretory systems. The female's urethra is just for urine. The vagina is the reproductive tract in females. So that's something else to know. I think that's it. That's pretty much it. But remember, we practiced writing some problem-solving questions for this. So be ready to solve crazy problems. Bing! All right, this was what it looks like in your notes. You can pause the video if you want to just read what your notes say and what this says. That's one page. This was a picture we showed. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Zoom in. Where we said if you if you look inside the testes, this is where the sperm are being churned out. Basically, the site of spermatogenesis. So we showed that picture. You can pause if you want to look at that. And this just shows another picture to clarify. This one I didn't get to show you in class, but the tube that the vas deferens, which is the purple tube, you can see that it makes a complete loop around into the urethra. Okay, so this picture is just to show you a different version of something. Sperm, we said sperm, the main thing they have is they have the chromosomes inside the head of the sperm, but the main thing was, there's lots of mitochondria to make that tail move, and so they do need mitochondria for that. Female reproductive part. Here we go. And here we go. Female reproductive. What do we need to know? We need to know the location of fertilization. And so that happens here. That's the oviduct. This is where the sperm and egg have to meet. And if you had to guess what day in the menstrual cycle this would occur, so what day would that? Remember, we said the menstrual cycle is day 1 through 28. In order for fertilization to occur, you might have to figure out what day that would occur. Would it be day 1 or day 28? So the answer is day 14 or day 12 or day 13. It's the middle. And the reason is because that's when an egg is released from here. And that's called ovulation. This is the ovary. The ovary has all the follicles, which have little ovum inside, little eggs. We're going to look at a picture of that very close up soon. This is the oviduct. And this is where fertilization happens. The uterus. The uterus, two things. This is the womb, and this is where a baby develops. And it also is the lining here, which thickens in order to accept the baby, gets shed every month with a period. This is the cervix. The cervix is where sperm enters, and gruesomely, as you know, a baby's head comes out. Okay, we saw that video of that. So we said the cervix had to increase in size to like 4 inches. The doctor will... bigger than that, but that's where it starts when you start pushing. And what else? More problem solving. So just know that the hormones, 2 of the hormones are released here. How are you going to know which 2? Well, you're allowed to bring that sheet in. You know your sheet with the graphs you made. Bring that sheet in. As long as you don't have anything else written on it, you can use it for the test. But the top 2 hormones, the FSH and LH, are released by the ovary. And then the pituitary gland releases progesterone and estrogen. And you'll see that written on your sheet, so that'll help you. So bring that sheet with you. Okay? All right, let's stop writing on that. And let's go. Bing. That was what was written in our notes. If you want to pause and check it out, it's kind of just what I said. Boink. Now, the side view of the reproductive system we looked at for a second, but what do you need to know? Basically, it's a little bit more confusing. So what I want you to be able to figure out is where to... Oh, here we go. Move. Like, for example, I want you to know from the side view which is the bladder and which is the uterus. And also urethra versus vagina. That sounds like a wrestling match. Okay, so, for example, bladder versus uterus. So this one right here, the one in the front, is the bladder. And this one here in the rear, this is the uterus. So just know that the bladder's in the front, uterus, and the bladder's in the front, and the uterus here, which is kind of U-shaped. Oh, U-shaped uterus. And this looks like a B. You see that? Not at all. Anyway, and the other one is urethra versus vagina. So urethra obviously comes from the bladder, because that's where urine comes out, and the vagina is where the uterus comes out. That does not sound pleasing. The uterus does not come out of the vagina. And next. Okay, so last but not least, the menstrual cycle. So in your notes... with this one, you'll probably have to, the one in our notes, let me see if I have it here. Let's see, do I have it here? Next. Yeah. So in your notes, you have this like crazy thing with all this writing. So in your notes, I'll do this one first and then I'll go backwards. But in our notes here, we talked about how at the top here, the follicular stage, a bunch of FSH, which is a hormone called follicle-stimulating hormone, makes these follicles grow. So they start from being tiny nothings to one of the follicles grows with an egg inside. So tons of FSH, this is called the follicular stage, and it's about the first 12 days, and it makes FSH makes the follicle mature. Okay? Now, in order for that to happen, estrogen is the one that starts it off. So estrogen, again, bring that sheet. That'll help you out. Estrogen makes FSH go crazy. Estrogen also makes LH increase at a certain day. A high level of LH makes ovulation, LH ovulation occur. And this is the release of an egg from the follicle. Now with the follicle bag, since the follicle is like a bag, that stays behind and becomes this crazy yellow cloud called the corpus luteum, which actually means yellow cloud. And the corpus luteum releases progesterone, which prepares the female for pregnancy. Now what does it do to do that? It actually stops the uterus from contracting at all, because if you're going to have your period, that's what gives you cramps, is your uterus sort of contracting and squeezing and moving. So progesterone is a hormone which actually stops all that contracting, and it sends more blood to the uterine lining. So it sends more blood, more nutrients, and keeps the uterus thick. Which is the hormone that actually starts it thickening? That's estrogen. Estrogen's the one that helps it grow. But progesterone's one that keeps it growing, maintains its growth and keeps it supplied with blood. Now, if you're not pregnant, thank God, it dies, the corpus luteum dies, and so does the uterine lining, and that's what's shed during menstruation. All right, so the corpus luteum dies, and that's the end of your cycle. This is day 28, and that's day 1 over there. And this, all the way to ovulation, is about half, 14. Cool, now that I made a mess of that, woo, it's gone. Just know the same thing for this diagram, the diagram that we just saw before. This diagram's the same thing, and that's labeled in your notes on in the little paper that you have. Okay, so that's how the menstrual cycle works. If you need more details, or if you need to see a picture like this, check your book, ask me questions, yada, yada, yada. Now, this is sort of very cool, because this diagram right here shows you how the uterine lining, the thickness goes down during menstruation, which is here, and then it thickens all the way, and then, of course, you continue the cycle. If you want to see which hormone, of course, thickens this uterus, you can see that it's estrogen right here. An increase in estrogen makes this thicker. And then an increase in progesterone right here is what maintains this thickness. Okay? And then the egg, this right here, FSH, increases the max over here. FSH grows to make it grow. And then there's actually a spike of both of them, but LH is the one that spikes the highest for ovulation to occur. Okay? And then for problem solving, hey, we said, how come you want no FSH at all if progesterone is doing its job? And it's because FSH is the one that's going to make the next egg mature. And we don't want that. We already got a baby that we're working on. Okay, so understand problem-solving questions like that. Okay? So I hope that helped, and best of luck, guys. Okay?